Thinking of selling your home? Wondering what it takes to buy and sell at the same time? What all this means to you and more, and quickly, because I thought I heard the ice cream truck coming around the corner, and it's a little early for that, but those SpongeBob novelty ice creams are pretty tasty. Stay tuned, this is Vasilios and you're watching Fastlane. If this is the first time on this channel and you want to get the latest actionable tips from a local realtor that'll actually save you time, save you money, and result in the smooth real estate deal, give us a like, hit the subscription button below, and smack the bell icon so you don't miss any content. Now, on to it. So buying and selling at the same time is hard in any market, let alone this specific seller's market. There are logistics involved, heaps of coordination, and because closing at the same time is so difficult, one side's usually taking a huge risk. In this market, it's generally the buyers. So what's the seller's market? In a seller's market, there are more buyers in the marketplace than there are homes available. Your current home will generally sell more quickly than you'll be able to find a new one. If you need to buy and sell in the same time frame, consider negotiating an offer with a settlement contingency and asking for a rent-back agreement. What's a settlement contingency? A settlement contingency is used when a buyer has received or accepted an offer on a home they are currently selling and has a closing date on the calendar. This contingency will protect the seller in case the sale of their current home doesn't finalize. What is a rent-back agreement, you say? Well, it's an agreement that kicks in after your sale of your current home, which gives you the extra time to live in that home after closing. Essentially, you're becoming the new buyer's temporary tenants. It doesn't last long, there are usually time limits, but it'll give you some time in order to buy your next home without scrambling too much. Now, this might diminish your offer because many buyers might not agree to this. However, it'll give you the time in order to buy and move into your next home. A drawback to renting back is that you're on a tight deadline, and if your next home purchase doesn't go through, you'd still need to move out anyways. If this was a buyer's market, I would suggest making an offer with a sale contingency and/or requesting an extended closing. In this market, with demand so high and home prices just as high, it often makes sense to purchase a home first and then sell. We'll talk about both approaches, but spend most of the time talking about purchasing your home first. In my opinion, in this market, it's best to begin the process by looking for a home first, before you list, because there's a tremendous amount of competition and demand, but a lack of inventory. It may take a few failed attempts to find your home, just the nature of the market. So in a nutshell, get your offer accepted, and just before getting through to the P&S stage, immediately list your home. That would be the best case scenario. Home closings have an average of about 45 to 60 days, just about perfect to line up both closings pretty close together as long as you don't hit any snags. What about buying on contingency? Now, the drawback to a home sale contingency, especially for this seller, is losing time and control of the process. Now, can you buy with a contingency to sell? Well, yeah, you can, but it's not advisable in this market. With such a contingency, you probably won't get your offer accepted. So we're not even going to cover that in this video, especially in this market right now. Aside from timing, what's the other most important item to take note? Your finances. Now say you're able to time everything and both deals coincide together as best as you can. But if things get delayed, you can be stuck paying for two mortgages. Will your lender allow you to purchase your next home while still paying for your current mortgage? It's a great question. If you're very well off financially and can put up enough of your assets against a loan, your lender may or may not be willing to take that risk. The amount of liquid cash and the amount of equity in your home and the loan products you qualify for can all factor into which path you take. First, find out whether it's financially feasible. Take a look at your cash reserves and your monthly disposable income. Unless you have a lot of cash on hand, it might be tough to make things happen while equity is still tied up in your current home, which is why it's financially easier to sell first, but the buy side takes such a long time to get an offer accepted, timing things out can be a real chore. Talking to several lenders at once is a great way to get as many lending options as possible and to see what you qualify for. Now, if you have an FHA or VA loan, you are only permitted to have one loan at a time, so it would be very difficult to secure another mortgage on a different property before selling. Financially, it's best to consult with a trusted real estate agent. They can talk to a lender about your specific situation, and the lender can then help guide you on the best path to determine whether you're able to get pre-approved for a loan before selling your current residence. Now you know what price you want your home to sell for. However, what will happen if the market turned the other way and you're not able to sell the property for the amount that you want? That down payment you thought you would have after the sale of your home is now gone. What you really need to do is give yourself enough padding and leeway on the sales price and enough reserve funds to inject into your down payment if the worst happens, a market shift. Please allow yourself for a market turn or market volatility just in case you sell the home for the amount you didn't account for. Selling first and buying second might be the least stressful option financially, because you will know after the sale how much money you have to work with in order to purchase your next home. The only drawback to this would be during a seller's market, when it might take some time to define your next home, especially if inventory is scarce and demand is high like it is currently. So what about selling contingent on finding another home? In this market, you could probably get away with it, considering that there is so much demand to purchase right now and so little inventory. Buyers might be willing to accept this in order to get to the home that they want, your home. But at the end of the day, the more contingencies you have on the sales side, the lower the list price you'll get. Consider seeking a cash buyer. In the seller's market, the best decision you could possibly do for yourself is buy first and sell towards the end of your purchase transaction. You may want to sell as quickly as possible to avoid paying or having two mortgage payments for a long period of time. The quickest way to accomplish a purchase and a sale in the least amount of time is to find a cash buyer. Working with a cash buyer, typically the closing is moved up considerably because there is no underwriting involved in the loan. So that is generally the fastest route to get your home sold and wrap up the transaction as quickly as possible. What to watch out for. Inventory is very low, demand is very high, and going in with an offer with contingencies is not a very strong position to be in at this time. The only time using a contingency as such would be in a strong buyer's market with a lot less demand than there currently is. A different angle on this is to offer a non-refundable earnest money deposit, hoping that the seller would see this as a positive incentive to wait just a little bit longer to have your home sold. So how else are you able to make both transactions work in unison with each other? One way is to compromise. Persons on both sides of each transaction are probably under a lot of stress, and they themselves could be in the same situation that you're in. So if issues arise, keep this in mind. If the buyer needs an extra week or so because there was an issue in the sale of the property, it could be best to extend the courtesy to them, because you might encounter the same thing in your transaction. A little compromise goes a long way. Also, using the same agent to buy and sell might even help bring both closing dates closer together. It's already a tough process, and having two separate agents, one favoring each other's side, may make it logistically harder. Having one agent handle both transactions may smooth out the process and allow you to close and schedule all the accessories as close together as possible. A few things to note when choosing your closing date. Firstly, work with your agent to determine the best timing to accommodate both transactions and what might work best for you. So ideally, you want to try and aim to close on both transactions within 2 to 3 days of each other. However, never try to close on a Friday. The reason for this is that the bank transfer can often take many days to go through, and in order to ensure the money is in your account when you need it, give yourself a few extra days for the funds to transfer. Also, when you schedule those closings, shoot for a morning time, especially on the sale of your home, instead of later on in the afternoon. Often, banks will stop wiring transfers mid-afternoon. If you close in the morning, this allows for extra time for your money to hit the account. This will be one less snag that you'll have to encounter. What is the worst case scenario? When you try to sell your home and buy another in a short time frame, the worst possible scenario is selling your home and then noticing you don't have anything suitable to purchase. Now this sounds pretty terrible, but it's not the end of the world. You just need to plan and account for a few things. Most importantly, finding temporary storage for all your belongings. The other thing to note is how to pack your home for a temporary move. Having to move twice is never ideal, but at this point, you're one step closer having sold your home already, and that's been completed. Even if there's a gap in between your home sale and the purchase of your new property, you always have the ability to rent temporarily or stay with loved ones, so it's not the end of the world. Now, if you like this video, check these at the top of your screen. And if you need a guy like me, I got a guy like me's info in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.